So I think for many people, at least coming up, like they always kind of thought of New Balance as like this old man dad sneaker, at least for people like say outside of the DMV area. I think the 574 is like the New Balance sneaker that everybody thinks of, which is a budget friendly, more affordable runner from out of their back catalog, which has always been a huge seller for the brand. Which when you talk about New Balance sales for the year of 2024, New Balance reported $7.8 billion in revenue. So I would say their sales numbers are looking pretty impressive, which when you compare that to Jordan Brand, I was actually quite surprised by that, which Jordan Brand reported $7.3 billion. So can y'all imagine New Balance selling more than the beloved Jordan Brand, which I understand Jordan Brand is a division under Nike, which Nike reported like somewhere over like $50 billion. But for New Balance to sell more than Jordan Brand, like I would have to say I was quite surprised by those numbers. So how has New Balance kind of beat the stigma of being just known as like the old man grandpa sneakers? Well, I think they've done it through several different ways. One of those, of course, we always got to give props first and foremost to Joe Freshgoods. I think he was one of these big names, these collaborators, which put a lot more eyes on New Balance, which I think on top of that, them introducing new silhouettes, right? They're always coming with a new model. They always keep like a fresh classic rotation, you know what I'm saying, on the market. And then they're also going to be bringing out old models from out their vault, kind of like what you see right here with the 992, a sneaker which was out of circulation for a couple of years, but then they brought it back this year in a major way with a Joe Freshgoods collaboration. So I think through all of those reasons, people have noticed New Balance's quality as well as the comfort, and are increasing sales for the brand just overall as they get bigger and bigger. We also got to give props to Action Bronson, Salehi Bembry, Kith as one of their big retail partners. And on top of that, like we gotta also give props to the Made in USA collection from Teddy Santis. A lot of eyes have always been on this quality collection, which they keep releasing new waves each season. That's gonna also include New Balance staples like the 992, which we just mentioned, big seller for the brand this year, the 990 V6, 990 V4, 990 V5. A lot of these good classic models, which New Balance always keeps in rotation, right? So on top of these, you also got the new models, which we talked about. You got the Absorb 2000, which this one kind of pays homage to some of these early 2000s runners. You guys see what's happening. But this version kind of looks like a 2000s runner, but like on steroids with the huge sole, kind of giving like Nike Shock type of vibes. This one seemed to kind of be a big hit as they've introduced it this year. They start off slow with a lot of these new models, sometimes with collaborations, and then eventually you're gonna start to see these like releasing bigger quantities, start to hit some of their retail partners as well. On top of the 2000, they also introduced the 204L this year, which this one is kind of like a retro runner, but with more of like a tech trail inspired type of vibe, kind of like for the new audience. You guys see what I'm saying right here? You also can't forget about the 2010, which this one kind of looks like something that could have came right from the 990 series. So it's got that take, but also kind of with like a more updated sole. So you see what's happening right here. Now, on top of these sneakers, like we mentioned, they're new models. Sometimes they take a little time with it. They hit us with a collab here and there. Introduce these slowly, to which eventually they'll up the stock. They'll start to see these hit retail partners, which New Balance has kept great relationships with their partners, such for example, DTLR. They give them exclusive releases. You can't forget about Foot Locker, which they also give them exclusive releases on top of that. So let's say, for example, like you walk into like a Finish Line or a Foot Locker in your local mall, the kind of go-to models for New Balance, the big sellers, which you're gonna also see on a lot of people's feet, are gonna be sneakers like this. The New Balance 1000, this is one of their retro models that they brought back from their early 90s catalog, brought these back into circulation last year. And then here in 2026, you're seeing these in full swing, you know, with all of their retail partners. On top of this one, you're also gonna see a lot of 740s, same kind of situation. This is one from New Balance's back catalog. This sneaker originally dropped in like the 2010s. If I'm not mistaken, they updated the sole, soft launch last year. Now we're seeing these all over the place when you walk into like a Finish Line, Foot Locker. This one also is a big hit because of its affordability, coming in for like, I think under 120 bucks if I'm not mistaken. You also got the 530, which when you think about New Balance, this is like the perfect dad type of sneaker. This is one that New Balance has always kept in the rotation, but with like retro runners, the dad sneakers becoming a lot more trendy over the years. It seems like this one's been a lot bigger of a hit for the brand. And again, very affordable as well. You can't forget also about the 1906, which I think for the last like, what, 2-3 years, this has been like the go-to model, which New Balance has been focusing on. A lot of collaborations. This one's been a big seller at all their retail partners and is not slowing down. And they keep pumping out different variations of the 1906. But when you talk about the number one seller, in my opinion, the sneaker that I'm seeing like everybody rocking, from women to kids, New Balance pretty much got everybody locked down with this shoe. They don't even drop many collaborations with this shoe. I feel like the design is just so loved by a lot of people that it really just kind of sells on its own. And we're talking about the 9060, which I know y'all see these joints literally everywhere. For me, I think the appeal of this shoe is what that, like, of course, it does give like an updated retro dad type of shoe, but it also kind of reminds me of like the Yeezy 500, a sneaker which had a lot of appeal with like ladies. So I think this sneaker is a shoe that you see on a lot of women, like I mentioned. Younger kids are rocking these, and of course men as well. This is a shoe which when you walk into any store, you're probably gonna catch this one on shelves. And like I mentioned, New Balance doesn't even have to really rely on any big name collaborations to sell this one. It just pretty much does it all on its own. Plus, on top of that, New Balance has continued to sign younger athletes. You got Cooper Flag, the number one pick from the NBA draft. Can y'all imagine signing the number one pick in the NBA draft? A young guy which probably has a huge potential, you know, as far as in the NBA. So they're rarely capturing that like Gen Z audience, you know what I'm saying? For someone like me, who like never wore New Balance coming up, I've been just like fascinated by the models. For me, everything's kind of new and refreshing. So I had a lot of love for New Balance over the last couple of years or so. So as far as this year, let me know, are you guys rocking New Balance sneakers? Do you have a couple of pairs in your rotation? Or have you kind of just hung up all them old J's from the 80s and kind of dropped those, you know, for some comfortable New Balance? Let me know what y'all think down below. And as far as New Balance this year, as far as a letter grade, while I know sales and everything would probably give them like an A type of grade, just as far as my personal take, the releases which they've dropped. For me, I would say it's kind of off year, you know, as far as my personal taste. When you talk about New Balance sneakers, I'm not a huge 992 guy myself. So for me personally, I'd probably give them like a C plus or something like that. Years prior, I would have probably gave them like a B, B plus. But for this year, just my personal take, I'm gonna stick to like a C plus, but I know sales numbers are doing great. The brand continues to get bigger and bigger. So drop your feedback down below. Let me know if you guys have any New Balance in your rotation. And as far as a letter grade for New Balance, at least here in 2025, what would you give them?